What's going on? This is Greggatron. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Yeah. Alright. Today's video is about this. Yeah. Gotta get that glare out of there. So for those who don't know, Eminem just dropped an album this past week. It's called The Death of Slim Shady. And in my opinion, it feels like the direct sequel to Encore. So that's why I wanted to talk about this. Because the new album feels like Encore a little bit. And it's been 20 years. This CD came out in 2004. And now we're in 2024. So time really flies. I was like 11, 12... when I got this CD. Yeah. And I remember being on my bed listening to this on my CD player. Who here remembers CD players? And that song like Toy Soldiers, you know how it starts out really quiet. So I remember cranking the volume up on my CD player, and then it gets loud, and then I was like, oh. So I cranked it down again, but this CD, in my opinion, holds a lot of weight. I mean, as far as Eminem goes, because of my age, this was a part of my childhood. This was the first Eminem CD I actually bought. Either that or my dad bought it for me. But straight up childhood. That's the track list. I'll read that to you, or you can pause it. But before I get into the tracks, I want to show you the imagery. You've already seen the cover. And Encore, the theme of that is exactly the name. It's the sequel to The Eminem Show, which was from 2002. So that's why both CDs have him on stage. So the theme is pretty dark. Alright, you can see him holding a gun throughout the imagery while he's preparing for this show, and you're wondering, what's this guy gonna do with this gun? As you can see, he's got bullets he's loading up. And I also like this era of music because look, you can actually see the lyrics. They actually put enough time and energy and money into printing the lyrics on the CD cover. I mean, look at that. Yeah, I know, we got a glare. Too much sunlight. Well, I don't like to do my videos in the dark because then the light looks all jacked up. But yeah. This CD, in my opinion, for me personally, is the most memorable because I was right there when it was going on. I was taking the CD to school, listening to it on the bus. You can see the crowd appears to be in danger, meaning he's the main threat. See there? If anybody else remembers this, let me know. So the theme, give or take, is him going off on the crowd, the audience, we, the fans. Oh man. But yeah, let me talk about the CD itself before I get too carried away. And then that's the back. And furthermore, so it's also a 2-disc special. The disc itself is in my car, the 2 discs. This was 20 years ago, guys. 20 years ago. He was on one. Alright, so the track list, Curtains Up, which is pretty much the intro. Evil Deeds, Never Enough. Yellow Brick Road, Like Toy Soldiers, Mosh, Puke, My First Single, The Paul Skit, Rain Man, Big Weenie, M calls Paul. That's another skit. Just Lose It. Ass Like That. Spend Some Time. Mockingbird. Crazy in Love. One Shot, Two Shot. Final Thought, which that's a skit, and Encore. Then the bonus CD has 3 songs called We As Americans, Love You More, and Ricky Tikki Tok. So I really like the bonus CD because I wasn't expecting it and I didn't know anything about it. And it truly was a bonus because I had no clue that was going to be on there. So the features, 50 Cent was in this album, Nate Dogg, Obi Trice, Stat Quo, D12, Dr. Dre. I mean, it was definitely a Eminem project. So let me put this back in, that way when I show it off, y'all can see the actual image. The reason I bought this album, or my dad bought it for me, I can't remember. The reason was some of the songs, like Mockingbird, for example, I was already listening to on the radio. And I remember that song, Ass Like That. That was on either MTV or BET. And I still remember the music video to this day. He had the puppet on his hand. That was a dog. And the dog was talking stuff about people. I thought that was really funny and really brilliant. Because basically this puppet on his hand was its own character. Basically a different alter ego. And as we know, Eminem has different alter egos. But yeah, those were the main 2 for me before I bought the album. It was Mockingbird, which everybody kind of knew that song. Even if you weren't a fan of his music, you always knew that song Mockingbird because it was constantly on the radio. It was on the radio so much, I almost got tired of listening to it. But to this day, it's still a good song. And Just Lose It. That's the one when he was making fun of Michael Jackson. I done touched on everything but little boys. That's not an insult, Michael. That's just a metaphor. But yeah, let me start from the top. So Evil Deeds. I mean, just really good way to start after Curtains Up. Evil Deeds, while I plant these evil seeds. I don't want to be Satan's spawn. Never got the chance to say I'm sorry. Now look at all the pain I caused. Dear Santa Claus, why ain't you ever coming this year again? What did I do that was so bad to deserve this? Everything could have been so perfect. I mean, I like this CD because it's really easy to understand what he's saying. Like, this is before Eminem was super chopped up, like how Tech 9 raps and other worldwide choppers, if you will. This was clear. This was to the point, and this was straight up, and it was dark. And I really like it. I mean, Light Toy Soldiers, he's talking about the beef between him and, Benzino, and how him and 50 would get together and quote-unquote rally around one another and basically protect each other in beef. Mosh, he's talking about George Bush, the Iraq War. He was heavily against that war, which I thought that was kind of cool because the song Mosh almost feels like a sequel to White America and the Eminem Show. But he was very vocal about that war that was going on, which makes sense because we were in that war for 20 years. So the theme of that song itself is like military theme, like combat boots, people marching, the rain is pouring. That song's dope. Puke, he's talking about some woman. You don't know how sick you make me. Eminem can make a song about anything and it sounds good. You make me fucking sick to my stomach. Every time I think of you, I puke. Just crazy. You may not think you do, but you do. Every time I think of you, my first single, really good, fun beat, really fun. And there's a song on his new CD that actually reminds me of the sequel to that song. What's that new song called? Something about my new dance. I think it's called My Brand New Dance. That feels like the sequel to my first single, in my opinion. Rain Man, basically, he's not saying a damn thing, yet it still turned into a song that was catchy. And he even said, I just did a whole song and I didn't say shit, because I like this CD because he's talking about people. One of the themes outside of Michael Jackson was Christopher Reeves. For those who don't remember, he had this beef with Christopher Reeves. And I don't even remember how it started, but I guess he had mentioned him and Christopher Reeves didn't like it. But instead of M saying, oh, you know what, I shouldn't have said that, he like doubled downs on all the Christopher Reeves jokes. And I mentioned his new CD, The Death of Slim Shady. I mentioned that because the new Christopher Reeve in that CD, the new one, is Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner. So now Bruce Jenner is the new Christopher Reeve. So there's so many parallels between this and his new CD. It's just not fair for me to talk about the new one a whole lot because I've only listened to it like one and a half times. Not even twice yet. Not all the way. But Just Lose It. That's the one about Michael Jackson. Ass Like That. I talked about that. Spend Some Time. That's one of my favorite songs. It's about relationships. It's about how some of these trifling women kind of do these men dirty and how these men, quote unquote, thinking a certain thing and the total opposite is in reality. 50 Cent's in it, Stat Quo. I love that song. So Eminem had introduced 50 Cent to this woman, and 50 Cent talks about it in that song. Em introduced us. 50, this is Tanya. Tanya, this is 50. Looking for an excuse to kick it with me. I complimented her. I said, you have very nice lips. With my imagination, I could see her sucking my... We played the phone game. Week later, shit changed fast. Had her over here in the cab to give me some ass. I mean, every feature in this made sense. Everything from Nate Dogg to 50 Cent to Dr. Dre, Stat Quo. Even the skits with Paul Rosenberg. I mean, I love it, man. And the song Spend Some Time also feels like a sequel to that song You Gonna Love Me, which was... That was on that was on the 8 Mile soundtrack. So on the 8 Mile soundtrack, there's a song with Eminem, Obi Trice, and 50 Cent. And it reminds me of this song, Spend Some Time. But definitely listen to Spend Some Time if you haven't. After that is Mockingbird. That's the one you guys all know. Crazy in Love. That's fun. One Shot, Two Shot. He's going off on the crowd. Final Thought, skit. And then Encore. That was a really great way to end the CD with Dr. Dre and 50 Cent. Aftermath. We came here to set this party off right. Let's bounce tonight. I mean, this had me jumping. This was popping. And if they don't let us in through the front, we'll come through the side. I don't ever want to leave the game without at least saying goodbye. All my people on the left, all my people on the right, swing one last time. Get your ass up for the doctor. And it really shows his friendship and his relationship with 50 and Dr. Dre. Everybody seems so close in this CD. And not long after that, they came out with Eminem Presents the Re-Up, which that's the one where he grabbed everybody from Shady Records, including G-Unit. And that was a party. But yeah, he really ended this CD in a good way with Encore, which is actually the name of the CD. Pretty cool, right? But yeah, listen to the bonus tracks if you haven't. I mean, what a treat this was. You were paying for one CD and they gave you a second one just for purchasing, just for being a fan. And like I said, you got the lyrics inside the album cover. You got all this different artwork. And check this out. They used to give you stuff to advertise their product as far as clothing, merch, whatever it might be. They would give you the website, where to find it. Because you got to think, this is before social media. There we go. So they had to put everything into that one package. They had to make sure that stuff was proper and good to go for our enjoyment. And the thing about this, 20 years later, I still have it. No, I never bought this from eBay or Amazon. No, this is from like the mall when I had Sam Goody. You know what I'm saying? And it's still in pretty good condition. And both discs, same thing. I keep them in the sleeves in my CD cover. But man, this video is long already. This is a really solid project in my opinion. My favorite Eminem CD, the best one I think probably would be the Eminem Show, which was the one before this one, which was his third album. This is his fourth, Encore. But as far as my childhood goes, as far as my memory goes, this CD rocked with me the most out of all his CDs. Probably even more so than Relapse and Recovery. Because when Relapse and Recovery came out, I was already in high school. Whereas this, I don't know what it is. It just came out at the right time. This was the first CD I bought that was from him. I think that's why I like it so much, because it is my childhood. And I remember when I got older, a lot of people were saying, this is his worst album. This was his worst album. But I disagree in the sense that I grew up with that album. And when you look at some of the songs that I pointed out earlier, you'll be like, there's no way this is his worst album. Whereas now, today, in 2024, people might say Revival is the worst. But even if Revival never happened, I would still say this is not his worst project. No. Because there's too many fun songs and they're so memorable. And I can go back, I can be in the shower and have this on my Bluetooth speaker, and I can just be rapping any one of those songs. Because like I said, it was clear, I can understand it, and he wasn't like chopping everything up. You know what I'm saying? Like Twista and others. This is one of my favorite versions of Eminem. But yeah, happy 20-year anniversary. And if you guys haven't heard the whole CD, you got YouTube now. So you should check that out. And real quick, speaking of YouTube and whatnot, back then there was no social media. So they had to advertise things in such a way. This was before iTunes. Remember iTunes? This is before all of that. And I remember having this playing in my room on like a little boombox speaker. And my mom would walk past my room and was like, what are y'all listening to? Because me and my younger brother share rooms. What are y'all listening to? So I'd turn the music down real quick. But yeah, this was my baby, Encore. And as you can see, parental advisory, explicit content. But my dad didn't even care, you know what I'm saying? But I would never like quote Eminem songs and lines around my parents. But I just knew this was my baby. I had to have it in my collection. I can't believe this video is 20 minutes long. Jeez. Alright, so I'll probably talk about his new CD at some point. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. 20 years later, I'm still listening to this man. And I've been a fan since prior to this album, because I remember those MTV videos, like the Real Slim Shady, those songs on TV and the radio. So all this is before social media, guys. Everything was before that. This is back when you had to listen to songs on the radio. I remember when, I'm sorry this video is long, I remember when people used to call into radio stations in my town and request certain songs. And maybe some of the songs on this CD might have been requested. Whereas now you can just use, either your Bluetooth speaker, or I mean, you can Bluetooth it to your phone now, or you can just use satellite radio, and you can get everything on there. You got Spotify now, but back then, you actually had to have a CD changer or just a CD drive in your car, or you have to call into the radio station and request a song on the radio. I miss those days. I miss that stuff. All right, one more time. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.